Welcome into the Nebrasketball Brunch Show. Big game Friday. It is rivalry weekend. It is a massive weekend, and we're kicking it off with Nebrasketball during brunch. That is going to lead us to an afternoon of anticipation and cheering on the ladies, but probably not watching it because it's on Flow Sports because the Big East stupid TV contract, the most expensive service in all of media. So you can listen to that, by the way, on your friendly neighborhood radio station, B1073 in Lincoln. And then we get to Nebraska and Creighton, the resumption of an actual rivalry. Oh, a rivalry. I'm so glad, Kaleb, to be feeling a rivalry that people accept, disdain flowing from people without having to pry it out of them. Thank goodness for Nebraska versus Creighton.
And not just for people to bring it up, but shots fired from Fred Hoiberg this week.
Yes.
To bring it up. That's where you're not manufacturing a rivalry where people aren't just going, oh, it's built on respect. No. Right. Hoiberg comes out and just says, well, it's going to be interesting because there will be a lot of folks wearing blue on Friday that are going to throw on that red on Saturday.
Yeah. So, we'll get to that. Let's get to that. We will get to that. But I forgot to do this at the start. Last week, I had people who are reminding me. So I want to get to this real quick, though. Look ahead for tonight, Kaleb.
Oh, my God.
We are going to do a live watch along. We got to 500 subscribers on the YouTube page. If you're watching on the I-80 Club YouTube page, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. But we got over 500. So tonight on that page, this page where you may be watching, you may also be watching on Husker Max, I will be going on basically the same format as you're seeing now from me. I believe that is what the plan is going to be. And we will have an experience where I will be watching the game on the same monitor, right, that I'm recording on. It'll look just like this.
Are you calling it the Jack Mitchell experience?
That's it. The Jack Mitchell watch along experience. We maybe should have branded it that.
Can we start a softball team?
We maybe should have branded that. And here's the crazy thing about it. So Josh Peterson will be joining me during this, and he is going to kind of serve as a messenger to me and a moderator for the evening, which I may need. We now have on our YouTube page Super Chats. I'm not super familiar with Super Chats, Kaleb. I don't know how familiar you are, but basically people can pay various amounts to get a chat that is displayed at the top of the chat throughout the course of the show. And it stays there. I am committing that anyone who buys a Super Chat, we will actually, Josh will be required to read it to me and have me react to it. No matter what's happening in the game, no matter when it is, if it's in the middle of play, whatever it is, and I will react live to that Super Chat. And if it stays up long enough to be able to see it.
Is there a line with that? That feels dangerous.
I don't want to challenge anyone. Yesterday, I muted over 400 words.
Oh.
That's an experience. That will make you blush very quickly.
The Jack Mitchell mute experience.
There are, I didn't know this until yesterday, Kaleb. There are Google Docs out there. There are Reddit posts out there. There are helpful guides out there to list every word that you should mute in case you can't think of them all in your own head. And trust me, you can't think of all of them in your own head. No matter how depraved you are, you can't think of all of them. So, yes, that is, there are certain words that you won't even be able to chat if you use them. And hopefully I got them all. I don't want to be playing whack-a-mole, but I got over 400, Kaleb, just to give you an idea.
I'm intrigued.
So my guess is it will be air further on the side of over muting than under muting, but that's fine. That's what we want. We want it to be a good experience always on the YouTube chat here. And we don't want bots coming in. We don't want porn bots. We don't want political bots. We don't want weirdos coming in.
Says you.
Yeah, we don't want any of that. So anyway, if you want to participate in that, and the other thing is, if you're a member of the I-80 Club, you can just follow along actually on the live show chat, and I'll probably be talking a little bit to those people. Those will all be Husker fans, though. Actually, we got a couple of J-Skers in the I-80 Club, to be honest, now that I think of it. But I will also, so if you want to be a member of the club and in the Patreon during the live show, I'll have that up too. And so you don't have to, if you're a member of the club, you don't have to do the live chats to have me respond necessarily. So, and I know we just had a member who wanted to join, had a hard time finding the Discord. If anybody does that, if it has a problem finding it, either just search on Discord or look at the email that you got, or else like what this person eventually did, just contact us. We'll get you there ASAP. We haven't ever had problems with people finding that before, but we are today. So anyway, that's a heads up on that. Okay. Now, okay. Oh, and then the other thing is we'll do a post-game show. You're coming back with a Bigelow.
And I'll be here tonight.
You'll be coming back with Bigelow.
Bigelow. That place.
Bigelow will be live in Omaha at the game like he was at the Pentagon. And we will have immediate, you'll have reaction during it. We'll have immediate reaction. Everybody will probably have heard very clearly what I have thought of the game, Kaleb, by that point. Because
you are doing like 17 hours of content today.
Yeah. I just got off a 3-hour radio show. I'll be doing, obviously, this hour here, probably another 2.5 hours with the game. And then we'll do a half hour or so, maybe more, probably more. If there's ever a long one, it'll probably be tonight.
Yeah.
And we'll have immediate reaction, win or loss after the game. So whether you watch the live stream or not, join us after that. Or if you're driving back, if you go to it, you can turn us on your phone and watch us there. That'll be here on these YouTube pages as well, Husker Max and I-80 Club. So please join us on one of those. Okay. I think I got everything out of the way now for the Nebrasketball stuff. There's obviously football stuff all day tomorrow, but we don't have time to delve into that. We got a game to talk about. Kaleb, let's update the NCAA tournament confidence meter here.
Okay, yeah. Since we last did this, there's only been one game played, and that was in Sioux Falls. So we've only got one game would have changed either way for us.
I have been at 3.5 from the beginning. I've not changed yet. I guess this is only our third show, right? Yeah.
Just a boring barometer you are.
Yes.
Are you
I wanted to remember where both of us were. What decimal number were you at last week?
I started at 9. I went to a 9.1. Last week I was a 9.15.
Okay. All right. I can start if you want. Yeah. I promised.
Are you still a 3.5?
I kind of promised I would move. Okay. And remember, I said that first.
Don't move unless you actually feel that way. Don't say you have to move. If you're still a 3.5, you're still a 3.5.
Well, it's weird because I promised I would move, and I did move, but I moved in two directions of equal amount.
Well, because this happened, I was actually down 0.2, but then this happened, so I was.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened with me. I moved in two directions of equal amount. Let me explain what I mean by that. The game itself actually encouraged me about this team. I was more excited about the team and their potential for this season because of that game. And you heard a little bit of it if you listen to the post-game show. I can tell you a little bit more. It encouraged me a little bit because of some things. That said, in terms of a resume, I think that loss was a big missed opportunity. And one that whether you're talking about seeding or getting in or not, you will look back at that one in late February and early March, and you will say, if they just had that one, if they just had got that one of that 3-point game, got it to overtime and won it, that would make a huge difference right now. So I think that'll happen. So all of that to say, those things counterbalance each other, and I will remain, despite what I said, at 3.5.
Oh,
now, I doubt after the Creighton game I'll stay there, because we won't have a show for 2 weeks. We'll have multiple games, actually.
Correct.
South Dakota game as well, and there might even be one more. No, I think that's probably it. So I'm going to stand pat 3.5. Kaleb, sorry if that makes people mad.
It's just boring. But look at you.
It's going to change eventually.
3.5.
I will 100% change eventually. And probably, I mean, at some point, it's gonna be a result of the resume where I'm gonna have to change.
Nebraska's gonna lose in 3 overtimes tonight, and you're gonna be like, well, the team looked good, so I want to improve it, but it was still a loss, so it equally comes down. So I'm still at a 3.5.
Dave says on the chat that people are not coming here for the status quo, Jack, and it's not the status quo. It is just movement in opposite and equal directions. Or opposite directions in equal force.
Okay.
Is what 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Sure.
Is what I would say.
Whatever you want to tell yourself.
Okay. How about you, Kaleb? Are you I don't even know what you were at such a high number to begin the season. I assume this had to decrease it.
I'm at an 8.5 today.
Whoa.
8.5.
Whoa.
I was encouraged. Here's the thing that you're saying, like it could have gone lower, like if Nebraska got blown out. I'm encouraged by some things that I saw, but that is a shooter-friendly gym against a team that could have helped your resume. Remember when we talked in the preseason that there are certain games in the non-con you have to get, what did we say, 2 out of the 3? Like it'd be really nice to get 2 out of the 3. It's St. Mary's, it's Creighton, and it's winning in Hawaii, winning the whole thing in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't get this one.
Yeah.
Which ended up being a very winnable game for you in Sioux Falls. And now you've got Creighton. So now you're looking at it going, can you win at Creighton and win in Hawaii? That's a tougher 2 out of 3 to go that route. So I would have really liked to get that one in Sioux Falls. So I'm encouraged by some of the things that I saw. We started to see some personality. We saw a little bit more of Bear K. We saw some other things. But you still didn't hit shots. Like you still the shooting is still.
Fred says it's coming, Kaleb. Fred says it's coming. He did not say when, but he said it's coming.
Good. Let's not save it for February. Let's maybe use some of that right now. But yeah, so I am at an 8.5. I'm still very confident in this team getting back to the tournament, but this is one of the games that I thought you needed to have.
I remain at 3.5, Kaleb down to 8.5. I will say this, Kaleb, I'm very excited about you adhering to my original intent of the half-point scale now and not getting into crazy decimals. So
no, I don't have my sheet in here, but I actually, the way I pointed it all out was actually a drop by 0.65. So it just ended up being at a half point.
Oh, that's true. That's funny. DPM is charting this for us, by the way. He posted on our Discord the latest chart. Right now is not that interesting.
Your chart, yours is there's no heartbeat. You have flatlined.
I might have just picked the right. You know what it might mean? That I picked the right number at the beginning of the year. I just had a great read, just a balls-on accurate read of what was going to be happening.
Here's my confidence rating in that 0. My confidence rating in you having a balls-on accurate read to start the year.
Kaleb, they win tonight. I promise you, it's changing. Okay. They win tonight. I promise you.
You're going to roll in next. You're like, awesome. Beat Creighton by 15. Give me a 4. I think they're a 4.
I mean, listen, it's one game. Let's not. I'm not.
Kalkbrenner still scored 30 points and had 15 rebounds. And I've got some questions about the rebounding, but it's a win. So let's go to a 4.
There's a lot of season left. I mean, I don't need to defend myself already for that, but there's just a lot of season left. I want to talk about that scenario. We had kind of demarcated those 3 games or the 2 games in the tournament as sort of necessary to come out. I don't know if necessary is the word, but that, I mean, it really puts a lot of importance on this game tonight. Nebraska's the underdog. If Nebraska, let's just for the sake of this discussion for the moment, let's say Nebraska doesn't get it done tonight against Creighton. Like how will and they do, let's say they do get it done in Hawaii though. They win 3 games in Hawaii in the Diamond Head Classic.
Which I will say out of the between tonight and going to Hawaii, I think that is a super likely scenario. Lose tonight, win it all in Hawaii. I think it's incredibly likely.
Like where does that put you in terms of what that how big of a hole, I guess, if at all, does that put you in for sort of staying up to where you need to be able to go a little over 500 or a little over in the league to get into the tournament? Do you think? I know it's hard to know where the line is right now, but
I think it's worth each one of these games. Let's say if you're kind of sitting you're going to go 500 in the Big Ten, like that's your baseline. The 3 in the non-con, St. Mary's, Creighton, and winning it all in Hawaii. And that's 3 wins in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Each one of those, to me, is worth, if you lose it, you have to get 2 more in the Big Ten. Okay. So if you start out with, you have to get 2 out of the 3. So you're still sitting around 500. So if you beat Creighton and then go and win in Hawaii, you're still in a good place if you go 500 in the Big Ten. If you lose tonight, you've lost 2 out of the 3. So you're probably thinking you got to get at least 12 wins out of the 20 in the Big Ten. If you don't win in Hawaii, you have probably got to get to 14, 15 wins in the Big Ten to
15 and 5.
Yes, that's what the scenario is here. The worse you do in the non-con, the better you have to build your resume back in the Big Ten. Man, so that's where I'm building this. So lose tonight, and let's put it out there that win out the rest of the non-conference, including all of the games in Hawaii, and you have to get to 12 or 13 wins in the Big Ten.
I feel like if you're over 500 in the Big Ten, you've got over 20 wins overall, which I think they would have, and you win a game in the conference tournament, that's sort of my rule of thumb. You're very close. If not, you're at least squarely on the bubble in that situation.
Right. And I'm talking about being absolutely safe. Like you get to selection Sunday and you go absolutely in.
Maybe 3 games over 500. So 13.
Yeah.
13 and 7, maybe in that situation. Yeah. Plus, yeah. The Hawaii field, by the way, and we'll get to the Creighton game. We should. I mean, we have plenty of time to talk about Hawaii, but Nebraska plays, I believe, the best team according to KenPom in the field in the opening game. Of course they do, in Murray State. So that
OVC.
Yeah.
Oh, are they still in the Ohio Valley Conference?
They're in the Missouri Valley. They're 93rd.
Oh, they moved to the Missouri Valley? Oh, yep. Screw those guys.
Yep. Oregon State's 99th, so those are probably the Loyola Chicago's 94th. These teams are all like bunched up in terms of how good they are. But Nebraska is, for what it's worth, Nebraska is the highest rated KenPom team in the field by 30 spots. So, we'll see. And might even get better if they lose tonight, to be honest. I don't know.
That's why they have to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex says in the chat, you're not going to have to win over a number 1 team like they did last year to carry the resume. Yeah. I mean, if you end up with 20 wins and like 13 and 10 in the conference, but obviously tonight buys you, to Caleb's point, and I think he's right. If you somehow got it done tonight, that really buys you some room in the conference.
Yes.
Buys you a lot, a couple of games of room in the conference, most likely. And so that's why it would be huge. It would be Creighton obviously is God's gift to basketball. So it's not only it's on the road. So it's a quad 1, but it's like a quad diamond win.
Yeah,
that's like a level they don't, it's like the diamond club that you only members get to go to upstairs. This would be a club diamond win in the NET.
S tier.
Right. It's almost like an automatic entry into the tournament if you can win in that snake pit, wine-soaked snake pit that is the CHI Health Center. So,
except when you won there 2 years ago.
Sure. Nebraska looking for a 2-game winning streak, I guess, is another way to look at it. The CHI Health Center right now.
Yeah, that's what it is. There's opportunity here, and I know that there's a lot of season left. Like there's a lot to control going forward. Dave Fight was running an interesting poll over the last day, and with Nebraska football, Nebraska volleyball, and men's basketball, and it was if you could guarantee 2 out of the 3, who's the odd man out? And there were people saying men's basketball because there's so much season left. And I was just like, well, yeah, but this game still matters a great deal in the way the rest of that season is viewed. Personally, I didn't vote for men's basketball to be the odd man out of those three, because this is one of those games that if you get this, you have a lot more leeway going through the Big Ten Conference because of what Creighton's going to do. Whether or not, like, UConn is still going to be a wagon in the Big East. That's going to be tough. If Creighton's going to finish top 3 in the Big East, they're going to be a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's just what is going to happen. Can you go into Omaha and win? Because then on Selection Sunday, it shows Creighton next to your name as one of those quality wins. That's what you're trying to get right now. You're trying to notch that going forward.
The current vote, Dave just posted it on our Discord, which our members get to do the live chat during all of our shows. The basketball was number 1, which was you could guarantee the one that you would give a loss. Now, for me, I would give volleyball a loss because that's the only team I trust to overcome a single loss very easily. So, I think it wouldn't even impact. They'd still probably win the Big Ten. So, yeah,
that's also not how I would
100%. I would 100%. You're just out on football. You're done. Huh?
I am a broken man. So let me give the ultimate J. Skur loss for the weekend. Their basketball team loses. Their football team loses. We're already broken. Nebraska can whatever with Iowa next week. But screw Wisconsin volleyball. Absolutely kick the crap out of them and give me a men's basketball win. Let's move on to the next thing.
I don't know that I am ready for that nuclear winner that could come if Nebraska football doesn't get 6 wins. So I will respectfully disagree with you on that assessment. All right, Kaleb, let me ask you this question then. What does it look like if we are celebrating at the end of the night? I'm celebrating on the live stream because Nebraska beat Creighton. Paint me the picture of how that goes if that actually happens.
Nebraska shoots 45% from 3. That's number 1. Nebraska shoots the ball well. Kalkbrenner still probably gets his. I would say it doesn't sound like he's got lupus or anything. So he probably still gets 20 and 15, 20 and 20. Can you stop the other guys from going off? Do you make it so that the next guy after Kalkbrenner maxes out at 15? Like nobody else is going off. So for me, that's the picture. You have to shoot 45% from deep because you're going to have to try to outscore these guys. And Nebraska has not necessarily shown that they're in the outscoring everybody. They're very much in the get enough at the free throw line and then play enough defense. And that's kind of been Nebraska's formula so far. I don't think that works in Omaha tonight. It's 45% plus from 3. Kalkbrenner gets his. It's not going to be 49 or he's not going to get a 50 burger, but he's going to score quite a bit. But nobody else gets to 15. Can that to me is the recipe tonight.
I know it's a small sample, but you look at Creighton's numbers this year. Kalkbrenner averaging 25 points a game. Ashworth in double figures at 16. That's it for averaging double figures through. Now, of course, they had some big wins, and so they've been taking people out. I understand that's not a full sample this year, but who is that third scoring guy for them? Which will be interesting. Is it Neal? Neal's third at 9.8. Pop Isaacs, the transfer from Texas Tech, is 4th. Isaac Trout is actually
Trout's been in the mix.
Point. So that's who's doing their scoring so far this year. And maybe, Kaleb, what you're saying, is this a more liable Creighton team to do what you're talking about and not have the wide variety? I mean, Kalkbrenner didn't even have to be the big scorer last year in a lot of cases, right?
Right.
I mean, when you had Baylor and Trey Alexander on that roster, those guys could go off for sure as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I don't think there'll be a lot of games this year where he won't be the guy who is your high scorer. where there's anybody particularly close, I wouldn't think.
No, and if there is a game where he's not the high scorer, he probably got in foul trouble early and somebody else had to carry the day, or someone just got stupid hot. I would say out of their schedule, what's the regular season? About 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put the over under on 3.5 that anyone else leads the team in scoring in those games. Like it's gonna be Kalkbrenner.
Yeah,
and I think that's where their success is going to come from, is him scoring 20 a night, and then other guys working off of that, getting open on the perimeter with defenses having to suck in around him. But he's also shown he can hit the three at a decent clip this year too.
Yeah. Cam Fam in the chat says Pop Isaacs will be their second guy. And it very well could be. He averaged like 15 points at Texas Tech last year. I remember him from the NCAA tournament, but he's a guy too. And he says this on the chat, does Cam Fam, he says they need to not let him get to the free throw line, right? He's kind of more of a Nebraska style scorer, I would almost say, is Pop Isaacs, right? That's I think what we're going to talk about a lot with. I mean, he's a 29% 3-point shooter. He's not, an elite 3-point shooter for the most part. Actually shot it quite a bit better his first year at Texas Tech. But it's just that this to me, Kaleb, and I've seen a little of them this year, but on paper, so far, this is kind of a different looking Creighton team than we've seen. I still, don't get me wrong, I think they're still playing with the same style, right? The same high tempo offense, really moving the ball well. They've always done that under McDermott. I don't know what they're going to be defensively exactly, but I expect them to look stylistically the same. I think their options are so different than the prototypical Creighton team over the last few years. Yeah,
you're right. And that's because of the loss of those guys from a year ago and the return of Kalkbrenner and what his skill set is, and how that maximizes the value for everyone else around him. You'll probably see a little bit more inside, but going inside to him opens up some stuff on the three, and that's scary for me with Nebraska because they have not defended the perimeter very well. Now, you saw UTRGV came out and shot 41 threes, so they're probably going to get some decent looks if you take it 41 shots from out there. So that was difficult to open the season, but also you've seen other teams along the way have shot the ball well from out there. Nebraska historically under Fred Hoiberg has not defended the three very well. So I'm curious what that's going to look like as you get into scramble mode, trying to stop Kalkbrenner, and he kicks the ball out because he's done a good job of that.
And that's how they got burned last year.
Yes.
It wasn't Kalkbrenner that killed him last year.
No.
He had 13 points in that game last year. It was, they did the thing, and they did it 2 years ago, and it seemed to work because Creighton didn't make their threes. But last year they would do the thing that they would double up. They would double up Kalkbrenner as soon as he got it. And then obviously Creighton, as they do, they move the ball around well, and Nebraska would scramble as best they could. But Creighton was hitting the shots. Baylor Shireman went off.
Baylor was 6 for 9.
She shot 19 threes last year, Kaleb. In that game. He shot 19 threes in that game. He made 6 of them. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding? Ashworth was 3 for 7. Mason Miller was 2 for 2. Farabello was 2 for 3. I mean, everybody. Everything was going in that game. And they just would always they would keep passing it, get the extra pass until you had somebody with just a wide ass open three, and they would always hit it in that game. And the difference was, I think they scrambled better 2 years ago. And Creighton was obviously just missing shots 2 years ago. They were not nearly that hot in that game. And I wonder if you think the defense, if Nebraska keeps, I mean, that's what everybody expects Nebraska to do. Do you expect them to kind of do that same thing for the third year in a row, essentially against Creighton and against Kalkbrenner, especially?
Probably.
You think so?
And I think so. Now, can you get a career game out of Mia? I don't think he's that guy, but in best case scenario, he comes out, you're 7'1" guy, and he's able to keep Kalkbrenner at bay a little bit.
Try that? Yeah. Do you try that and say, hey, we're going to let Mia go at him and try and be a little bit more, aware of the 3-point line during this game?
Because if you can get that maximizes a lot of your other space on defense, being able to get to those shooters. Another difference this year, Jack, is that Nebraska and Creighton have played so many of the same teams early. Fairleigh Dickinson, UTRGV. For you, being able to see those games played within a few days of each other, how does that change the way you view the matchup?
I watch a lot. The one I watched the most of those was Rio Grande Valley, the Creighton Rio Grande, which that was where they had no answer, obviously, for Kalkbrenner whatsoever.
Yeah,
during that game, what I was surprised is how often Rio Grande Valley could get open shots against them, open threes against them, and just kind of the defense for. I mean, that's a real general top like surface level thing. I obviously didn't break down the film, but I think that's probably my first impression right at this point. And we haven't talked about the other side of the ball yet, but how much can Nebraska take advantage of whatever deficiencies Creighton has on defense? What are those deficiencies, and how does Nebraska best utilize what it's got to find those at that point? And your first thought, it's hard, Kaleb, because your first thought of how Nebraska scored successfully this year is what? Getting to the free throw line. What does Creighton never really do?
They don't get called for fouls.
They don't get called for fouls.
Yeah.
And I think there are multiple reasons for that, but they don't get called for fouls. So does that mean that's just not going to work? Is tonight going to be different here at this point? Do they need to just make sure they're finishing, looking for the extra pass? What's the best way that this offense, you talked about making your threes. They make 45% for threes. I assume they're only shooting 13, 14 threes, right? I don't know how many you think they're going to shoot if they do that, but I doubt it would be many.
I mean, if you're making them at a good clip, and we haven't seen that this year, but when you see a team start to make those shots, they start to shoot a few more of them. Yeah. So if they've shot 13 of them and they've made 45% to that point, so what they've made 5 of them. 6 out of 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you're probably looking at them going, all right, Asijan, go jack a couple more up.
Right.
Let's see what you got. And what you probably have in that scenario, if you are making 45% from 3, Asijan probably has 3 or 4 of them. Griffiths has probably come in and hit 1 or 2. Jawan probably hit a stupid one that we all said, please don't take that. And it went in. Bryce, who is barely taking any threes since he shaved the beard, probably has 2. I'm sorry. That's one game enough. Grow it back, please. But
it looked like from the video they put out today, he's got the stubble like I have right now. So
good.
I think we're going that way. Yeah.
A little working man stubble.
Yep. Obviously this part is obvious. You don't need, John Wooden to tell you this. Nebraska has got to at least get shots off on possessions. You cannot go possession after possession without getting a shot up because you turn it over. And they clumped those together against St. Mary's, and it's why it fell apart in the second half, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right now through 4 games, what are they at? Creighton has got 13 steals. So that's, I mean, it's not a super high clip, of getting steals per game, but for Nebraska, you cannot be turning the ball over. And that's it's been the turnovers in the shooting. And as soon as Nebraska starts to take care of the ball better, the games have gone better. Nebraska's averaging 13.5 turnovers a game. When we talk about the success tonight, that number is in single digits. Nebraska wins tonight. That is a single digit number for the turnovers.
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you this is going to blow. So you gave that Creighton number. How many steals did you say Creighton has for the year?
13.
13 in 4 games, right?
Yeah.
How many do you think Nebraska has against 2 of the same 3 opponents?
17.
36.
36.
2 of the same 4 opponents.
Okay.
36 steals this year. I mean, like, and Nebraska's got 54 turnovers. Creighton's got 53. Nebraska is, it's hard, you usually don't say this. Nebraska is winning the turnover battle, the net turnover battle in this on paper so far this year, which is interesting by a lot.
Yeah.
By a lot. So, you know, can Nebraska cause real chaos for Creighton before they can get it in to Kaltenberger or on those doubles where they're turning it over? That will be interesting to me with this whole thing. Ashworth has 8 turnovers. Isaacs has 8 turnovers. Neal has 7 turnovers.
Creighton has 53 turnovers on the year.
Yep. And Nebraska's 54, as I said. Yeah.
39 of those are steals by the opponent.
And who gets the steals for Nebraska? Gary, Worcester, and Hoiberg.
Yes.
Those are your 3. Okay. Gary, Worcester, and Hoiberg are getting your steals. So when you're playing your best defensive lineup against Creighton, what does it look like? Those 2, probably Berke. And then, you know, I guess, you know, you're not going to Bryce out, but probably Bryce, I would say.
Since we looked at that is a ridiculous number. Creighton's opponents are stealing the ball from them 10 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just 10 turnovers a game, 10 steals by the opponent a game.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to look back on this and see if this is actually something that factors into this game or if this is just a statistical anomaly at the beginning of the year for Creighton. Because the other thing, it leads to my other point, Kaleb, is Nebraska just hasn't been able, I think of all the things he does well, I think Bryce Williams may be best in transition, and we do not see it enough. We just don't see much of it.
There hasn't been a transition offense this year.
To really see him get out and run, and he had one against St. Mary's. Maybe you remember it during the second half where he was on transition, so they weren't set, and he went under 2 guys. Right, did the did the up and under. It was incredible. Did the Euro step, and I just want to. I think he's a great finisher in transition, but they've got to get him in that situation, and they haven't yet this year a whole lot. So that's what I'd like to see.
Well, Nebraska hasn't played the transition game a lot. That's why we mentioned it during After Nebrasketball after the St. Mary's game, because there was a very quick possession that I can't remember if there was a block shot or if it was just a missed shot, and they got it up to Hoiberg and he kicked it up, and the ball got quickly into the corner, and it was a made 3 for Nebraska. And he was like, where's that?
Yeah.
Where is that transition offense? Because it seems so many times, and I don't know, does the ball just get stuck in someone's hands and then they don't want to push the ball immediately after a turnover or missed basket or even a made basket? Like there's no urgency to get the ball down floor while the defense is now retreating. Like that's even if they've made a shot,
by the way,
they're going the other direction.
Which, by the way, Creighton will do that offensively, right?
Yes,
they'll get up and down the floor very quickly.
So for Nebraska, like, can you finally start doing that? I'm not super confident in that. We haven't seen it through the first few games. I don't anticipate you'll see it for the first time in Omaha. But if you can get it 5 times tonight, just something, show it a little bit.
There's always the thought, though, you don't try to run with Creighton, right?
Yeah.
And you got to ugly it up, slow it down and ugly it up.
Right.
Is that really better for Nebraska in this game?
Well, if they can get the foul calls on Creighton, sure. Because if Nebraska can get to the free throw line 30 times again tonight, yeah, you've uglied it up and you've slowed it down. But like we've said, Creighton tends to not get called for fouls. So if you have that and Kalkbrenner does a good job of protecting the rim and roaming around inside, like that is what it is. So when you start to have that, is somebody apprehensive about attacking the rim now? Well, now you're not putting yourself in a position to get to the free throw line more because you're apprehensive about Kalkbrenner being in there, which is why you have that guy, which is what we were hoping to have with Braxton Mia, and that just hasn't shown itself so far this year. So then you're not getting to the free throw line as much, and you're not uglying it up as much. Guys have to not be apprehensive. If Kalkbrenner blocks 5-6 shots, he blocks 5-6 shots. You have to continue to go at him. Cannot be scared to go inside, and you have to be trying to get those fouls. You're right. I think it's good if Nebraska uglies it up, but I also want Nebraska, if they have a chance in transition, to actually run in transition, because the offense looks really good when they do. They just never do it at a high enough clip for it to be something teams have to worry about.
Yeah, and let Worcester, let these point guards get in the rhythm of truly distributing. Sometimes it feels like the half-court offense doesn't play into having a point guard, right? I think we talked about this a little bit on Sunday. It's like you finally have a point guard, but it feels like you run this offense where they're not allowed, or they don't distribute all that much.
Mm-hmm.
And because you do this kind of 5-out thing, and Braxton Mia ends up with the ball at the top of the key, which is part of the reason you don't get shots off on some possessions. It's
so intriguing to go, oh, there's finally, it's not just one point guard, but you have two true point guards now. And the offense is still super forward dominant, big dominant, where they get the ball and they become kind of this point forward distributor at the top of the key. And when it's Berkay up there, it's like, okay, you live with that. But how many times has it been Morgan and it's been Mia, and then it's a turnover right away, and you go, well, I appreciate you want to run that offense with whoever it is that's up there, but I don't want those guys touching the ball more than 15 feet away from the basket. They got to be within 10 feet if they're touching that basketball, or Morgan's wide open and they're saying, yeah, fire away from three, even Mia, whatever, it's end of the shot clock. But I don't want them touching the ball really that far outside of the paint. But you have these point guards. Let them cook. Like, you've got a lot of guys who can handle the ball. Push the ball in transition a little bit. It's right. The offense hasn't really evolved with the personnel that you saw come in this year, and you brought in a lot of new personnel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think, to answer the question I asked you at the beginning, Kaleb, the and this could happen, right? I'm talking myself into it, but the way that it looks, if Nebraska performs really well tonight, is Nebraska is the better defensive, better rebounding, tougher team.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska's got bigs, right? It's not that they don't have a big, like other years where they've got to double him because they don't have anybody in there that's a big to guard him. Like they've got at least some of that this time. Nebraska, Creighton's not going to rebound like St. Mary's did. I mean, they're not going to.
Yeah,
that is what St. Mary's, I mean, that is their brand, is getting back offensive rebounds, doing all of those things. If Nebraska wins, you're going to walk away and you're going to say, man, afterwards you're going to like, yeah, maybe you should have seen this, that Nebraska is going to be a lot better on the boards, and the Creighton's had the advantage defensively, basically, right?
Uh-huh.
You win two of the three battles: the special teams, defense, offense, football, rebounding, defense, offense. You win rebounding and defense, essentially, is what it looks like if they win that game. And getting steals, same thing. We talked about turnovers, steals, those sorts of things, and then not turning it over on your own, getting a little better from three. I'm talking myself into this thing.
Well, and that's been Nebraska's recipe, is winning the special teams, the rebounding, and defense. Yeah. The offense has been, if you call free throws, you're getting a bunch of field goals. They're going down and they're getting points. It's not pretty. You're not finding the end zone. You're not hitting anything from deep, but you're finding a way to still get points, and you're rebounding the ball better than the other team. You're playing defense better than the other team. That's been the formula, but it's still going to come down to winning on the defensive side. Do you see Braxton Mia being able to be that guy inside so that Nebraska doesn't have to scramble and there's not the kickouts and the extra passes and the wide open threes?
It's worth a try. It's worth a try for a while. And now the problem is he'll get 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game, and that's all over, right?
Fine. Okay. Andrew Morgan, go out there. Be as physical as you got to be. Between the two of you guys, you've got 10 fouls. You use them until you have to change what the defense is doing.
And what they're going to do most of the time, I think, is send Gary over there.
Yeah.
As the second person.
Probably.
And that'll be tough, right? That'll be if they get that set up and it's happening, that'll be tough even for Kalkbrenner, I think, if they can get that actually happening. But again, he'll pass it out. And they'll have a chance. They'll have to make the threes at that point. Ashworth being the biggest threat to make those threes. He's shooting at 44% this year.
Yeah, because he's pretty wide open when he shoots.
Yeah, and again, they're going to keep going until they get him there during those possessions. That'll be it. So he's 13 for 29, the most frequent 3-point shooter. Trout's shot the second most on the team, 7 for 21. And then
I would venture to guess, by the way, for Trout, almost all of those have been out of the corner. He sets up and he camps in that corner and he shoots it really well from there. Yeah.
And then the other two, the third and fourth most likely 3-point shooters thus far are Jackson McAndrew and Pop Isaacs for 3. And like I said, Isaac shot about 30% last year. I mean, Creighton's shooting 31.5 from 3 this year. Now Nebraska can't talk because they're worse than that, but that's not necessarily at a crazy elite level for the season so far. I mean, it's really Ashworth doing the damage at this point.
Yeah. Well, in Nebraska's opponents so far have shot at a 35% clip against Nebraska. Nebraska's only making 25% of its threes.
Yeah. That's got to change both directions. That has got to get closer to each other for this game, because the defense won't. I mean, it's just not going to matter. It's not going to matter if Creighton starts hitting at that 40 whatever percent rate that they had last year.
Yeah. Well, in the law of averages, and I know Hoiberg says they're going to start hitting them. They're going to start hitting them. The law of averages says you almost have to. Like, you don't shoot this poorly with the ability that these guys have to make the three, that Asijan has, that Berke has, that even Jawan and Bryce and Gavin Griffiths. Like, these guys have the ability to shoot the ball at a high enough clip that it's better than 1 in 4. And right now it's 1 in 4 that's going in. And so they've luckily been able to draw fouls and get to the free throw line. But the law of average says they're going to start making more than that. There's going to be some dumb game where they shoot 50%. Be great if it was tonight.
Yeah. I think I might have asked you this on you and Jacob before I asked you on Friday, but who's the guy to bust him out of the 3-point slump? Like, who is the most likely guy if it changes tonight to really lead that, do you think?
Asijan.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
I mean, that's the easy answer. That's the one right up front. But he finally just starts hitting things at a really, really good clip. He's the one who's got to start doing that. And then maybe if he does, the defenses start to shadow him a little bit more, and there's a little bit less help on Bryce trying to get to the basket and get into the paint. And I know Kalkbrenner will be there, but maybe you're starting to spread the defense out a little bit more. So to me, it's got to be Asijan, and that's what he's here to do. And I know there are some other guys that are here with their specific abilities, and it'd be nice if Gavin Griffiths can hit a couple, because it
feels like a Gavin Griffiths game to me. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because it seems like he could play for Creighton, but I don't know what it is.
You're not wrong. It does feel like he could. It feels like he would be the guy who'd go there and play 10 minutes a night, hit 2 threes during those 10 minutes,
right?
And just be like, cool.
Not play a ton of D, It'd
be nice. You know what? I wouldn't be against if that was his role with Nebraska. Come in for 10 minutes, hit 2 threes during that time. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know. If I think he is my if we a pick to click for the night.
Okay.
I think it might be him, which is interesting because he hasn't been playing a ton of minutes, but He will if he starts hitting it, right? Anybody who starts hitting those threes is going to start to get it.
Hoiberg has shown that, like, if you're on, you'll stay. And if you're off, it depends on who you are. But, like, think about the number of times that Casey came out and, like, missed 2 or 3 shots early, and then we went, oh, he didn't play a whole lot tonight after that. Or the times that he would come out and he hits 2 right away, and you're like, he's playing 30 minutes tonight. That is what it is. He hit them and he's out there. If Griffith subs in and hits a couple threes early or just scores early, you might see that playing time ramp up throughout the game.
Right. And I want to see to the same point, like, I think Esiason needs to get more shots up. They got to get him more shots. As rough as Nebraska is overall in 3-point shooting, Esiason is still 7 for 20 this year. He's still right around 35% for the year right now.
Yeah. Why is he only shot 20 though? You're
that's
right.
more than anyone else on the team. I believe. Yeah. Bryce has attempted 14, Gavin 12, Juwan Gary 12. Let's maybe lower that one a little bit.
Cool.
While we bring the other ones up, but yeah, it's interesting to take a look at that. I mean, Worcester has 8 3-point attempt. He would be next, but I would like to see Esiason have. I would hope he's got when he's in. I hope he's got 3-4 3-point attempts at least, even if he misses the first couple. I mean, I want him shooting it from outside. Get him. Yeah. There needs to be a little bit more volume for that. He should be that's what's going to get him out of it. I think
he should be getting 3 to 4 3-point attempts a half. And you start to do that, and you're saying he's getting 6 to 8 a game, and that's more than what he's shooting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be really good, and you probably hope that you can get that early, because if you hit that early, Creighton has shown that they'll give up some 3-point shooting. You saw UTRGV do it. Fairleigh Dickinson kept themselves in the game for a while. Like, if you can hit some shots, start to spread that defense out a little bit, make it a little bit more difficult for them defensively, which then makes it where they've got to expend energy on that end of the floor. So it's not as easy to go run around on offense.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. All right. Wow. Well, explored this thing in every which way. But I feel like I understand the path better. And maybe I'm going to watch this Creighton team and say, wow, you just it's some new faces, but you underestimated them. But man, I just think those losses from last year are huge.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Alexander and Shireman not being there really changes.
It's a different team.
This team. It obviously is, but I don't know. I'm still curious, who really is going to fill into those offensive roles that those two, they were so significant with this team. And maybe it is Pop Isaacs, right? Maybe he fills that in. But I don't know. And that's why I'm starting to get a little, it marked the clock, 11:53. Jack, for the first time, started to feel a little bit optimism tonight. Physical, play defense. They're not going to play defense on you, especially, right? Especially if you get it going. Make them worry about the 3-point line. Use your bigs. It's a different Nebraska team. It is a different Nebraska team too, and a totally different matchup than they've been before.
Okay, so real quick, we mentioned what Hoiberg had to say this week at the top of the show.
Yes,
about J-Skers. Greg McDermott, because Bigelow put this in the Discord chat. Part of the quote from Greg McDermott, Creighton's coach, said, "Obviously, Nebraska football is really popular in our state. A lot of our booster base supports the Nebraska football program, and that's awesome. But they'll be in blue on Friday." So here's what I like.
They're all kind of dancing around it, aren't they?
Well, dancing around it, but at least addressing it. Because think about the number of times where
that's true.
You have a game, and in football, and they're like, well, this is good for the fans. The fans are going to kind of be into it, but I don't know about a rivalry or this. And they're just like, no, this is what it is. This is the way the fans are.
Have the coaches ever addressed the issue of J-Skers before? Do you remember that? I'm sure Tim Miles said something about it at some point. He would have answered any question that was asked.
Probably,
But I don't really remember like the openly talking about it, especially from both sides of this before.
Well, and it feels like it's a little bit more front and center because the game is purposely on the Friday and there's a home football game the next day. And some of that is because the game is earlier than it usually is. Usually it's in December. And for the last several years, Nebraska football hasn't been playing in December.
Right.
So you just went, oh, everyone's on to basketball season. So
it's a little days.
It's a little bit different now the way it is as a mid-November game where you are consecutive. The teams are playing on Friday, both men and women, and then you turn around the next day and the football team is playing at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. By the way, if possible, going forward, let's get this thing back in December. I like now. Listen, is Friday night worth moving it up rather than Sunday for you? Like, I like the Friday night thing, but I would much prefer after the football season and have these teams play a few more games.
What you wanted the Sunday at noon, Sunday at 2:00?
Well, I'd rather that's what I mean. I would rather have it in December I'd rather have it in December on a Friday night, but I don't know if that's an option because there's a different TV situations. That's what I'd rather have. That's what I was wondering if people are like me, is the Friday worth moving it up, or would you just as soon keep it in December and have it on a Sunday? Though I've never understood like the 4:00 Sunday start.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like when you have it on Sunday, it's going to be that mid-afternoon, early afternoon, whatever time slot.
Yeah.
Very rarely are you going to get the Sunday at 8 p.m. tip.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going up against Sunday night football right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that game tonight, women's basketball, 4:00 this afternoon.
Women might destroy them, by the way, even without Natalie Potts. I don't know. I don't know if they do Vegas lines on women's basketball. They probably do, but I don't know. I think I like Nebraska in that one. So give me the W there. Now
let Britt Prince cook a little bit more on offense
in Omaha. Ooh, that's right. That's right. Nebraska got the Omaha Metros and the state's best player in a long time. They won the recruiting battle over Creighton. So, and by the way, as I said earlier, if you missed it, that game's only on Flow Sports TV wise. So
if you're looking for it, it is $30 for a monthly subscription.
Insane. There's no subscription there are gym memberships that cost less than that. I mean,
or you can do the annual subscription and it'll be $150 out of your pocket.
Insane. It's insane. There's no TV bundle that costs that much. That's almost the price of like YouTube TV. All of the channels. It's half the price, but still, it's ridiculous.
So
I'll be just listening to Coatney and Greesh on that one this afternoon.
Same here.
Yes.
Now we're going to listen to that. Yes. I will have the TV on this evening, but for a lot of folks, they can tune into you because you've got a very busy evening before we reconvene for After Nebrasketball.
Yep. We'll have, we're just going to, something that we had thrown around doing, and we said, hey, if we get to 500 subscribers, we will. We're just going to turn the camera on me during the show. So you'll be able to hear me. We won't actually have the game on. So I might be, I hopefully will be just a little behind people. I hope. I won't have the chat open, so I hope I'm not seeing a lot of spoilers. So that might be an issue if we've got that. And I will give you an opportunity if you want to try and sync it with me as the second screen. I'll let you know when
I like
tip
that.
is and that sort of a thing. But I'll be on throughout the entire game. Josh is going to kind of help me out. He is going to be the moderator / messenger throughout the game, and he will be reading me every super chat that gets sent in by anyone. So long as you didn't get around my muted words and say things that you shouldn't, that are very bad. And also be interacting with my Husker fans on the live show chat in the Discord, who doing this too. So there you go. Oh, Bigelow says, I forgot this. The game was originally supposed to be tomorrow and they moved it to tonight. I did forget that. Yeah. I totally forgot that. Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, oh my gosh, they can't do them at the same time as a Wisconsin game.
Well, yeah, because tomorrow you've got the Nebraska-Wisconsin football game followed by a Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball match.
Yes. Yep. Way too much. Way too much this whole weekend. Way too much stress. Guys, I can't do 2 post-game shows with losses this week. Can't do it. I don't know what it might get to the point where Saturday night with Josh, if it's 2 losses, especially 2 growing kick losses, I'm just going to stare blankly into the camera because I don't have anything left except sadness and anger. And I don't want to take it out on people because I usually tend to do that.
Right.
So
watch party tonight, after Nebrasketball tonight,
yes.
I-80 after dark tomorrow, all of those free. But you guys also do the Saturday
coffee
morning, the coffee show. That's just for subscribers. How can people subscribe to you guys?
Yep. Patreon.com/I80 Club. If you have any issues, DM me or Josh over the I80 Club, or just tweet us or anything, and we'll make sure and get it figured out for you and get you on the Discord and get you all set up. So patreon.com/I80 Club. And yeah, you'll be able to watch the Saturday morning coffee show, which should be very interesting coming off that basketball game and getting ready for Wisconsin, which that's kind of our signature show. It's sort of like college game day before all Nebraska games. We have a lot of fun with that. So, all right, let's wrap it up because I still got a lot more content to go tonight. So I need to be fresh for that. Thank you, Kaleb. I appreciate it.
Yes,
we will see you post game after a win or a loss. And hopefully you have lots of takes so I can just be quiet for a while.
I hope so.
All right. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good one. Hold on. I got to do this. And then bye-bye. We'll see you at 7 o'clock right here on the I80 Club YouTube. Bye-bye.